What's up, everyone? We're back with another episode of Behind the Counter. This time, we have a buddy of mine, Frankie Krysman, who is a certified personal trainer, certified a lot of things, but also an expert on meditation and that kind of stuff. And I actually trained with Frankie as well. Known you for a couple of years now, I guess.
Yeah.
And obviously, this whole season is about stress, anxiety, sleep, coping with those in a lot of different ways. So we've talked about medication, we've talked about different supplements and that kind of stuff. But there's some ways to do that that are just, even beyond therapy or the mental aspects of things like meditation that are really beneficial. And there's a lot of misconceptions out there about meditation. So we're going to talk about some of those misconceptions today. We're going to talk about the benefits of it. This is something that I'm actually a little bit new to as well. So I'm here learning along with all you guys too. So Frankie, welcome. Do you want to cover some of those other credentials that I may have missed in there and glossed over?
Yeah, sure. Like you said, I'm a certified personal trainer. I'm also certified as a behavior change specialist. I got my cert in level 1, 2, and 3 of Yin Yoga, which is a type of practice that helps you get into that meditative state. Appreciate you saying that I'm an expert at meditation. I mean, I'm not even anywhere close, but I appreciate the compliment.
You're welcome.
Meditation is a lot of different things for a lot of different people. So I think that the biggest thing today is just to clarify what it is for me, maybe for you, for other people watching. And then, that's just really scratching the surface. There's so many different layers to meditation and the different kinds and the different ways.
Sure.
But yeah, so that's just some of my credentials. I've also have certifications in working with, I guess you could say psych level 1, behavioral patterns, human interactions, and just relationships in general. Just really observing and analyzing people on not only what they do, but how they're doing it. More importantly, why they're doing it.
Sure. So let's get into meditation then. What exactly is meditation? We had a conversation offline about it, and that you put it in a way that I actually hadn't really thought of before. So what was you say is your definition of meditation?
So it's different for everyone, but I think everybody knows it as meditation is okay. Let's sit, cross our legs over and. Let's just, let me put my hands here. Let me put my hands here.
Right. Pictures of people with a third eye popping out of their head.
Right. So I haven't seen that yet, but.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. So that's everyone's image of meditation. Mm-hmm. But what it really is bringing together a focal point. That focal point it could be something from the past, it could be something from right now. Or it could be something present from the very moment, And a lot of the times you get there by breathing techniques.
So let's talk about some of that kind of stuff then. Like you're talking about all these different stressors and all this different kind of stuff. Is it about putting yourself in a position of power over your own mind, I guess? Is that how you would phrase it in that sense? Or
yeah, that's a good way to describe it. Your mind is going through a million thoughts throughout the day, and a lot of the times we allow it to happen. For example, when you go to work in the morning, right? You've probably done it hundreds of times already that you don't even need to think about it, right? It just happens. It's on autopilot. It's muscle memory.
Sure.
You're probably texting, if I know you well enough, texting on the way, driving with one hand, right?
That's not ideal.
Right. So it's not safe at all, by the way. So don't do that. But you're mindful, right? You're mindful that you're going to work. But now, if I were to say, what was at this corner, or what was the street name of this, or what happened at this traffic light? You don't know. You really don't know. It was a blur. You get from point A to point B, but you're not aware, right? Aware is being present. How could you be present if you're texting on your phone? If you're not paying attention to everything around you? And a lot of times we have these very busy lives, and we're always stressed out about certain things. Or what am I doing at this time? Okay, what do I have to do after work? What do I have to do here, then here, then here? And we have calendars on our phones for this to help us be better organized. But at the end of the day, our mind is going a mile a minute. There's no way to be fully aware in that moment. And this is where the awareness gets lost. We just become mindful. We become slaves to our own conscious, per se.
So let's talk about, you were talking about your mind running a mile a minute, right? So for me, the way I describe that as I just say I can't turn my brain off, like, especially at night if I'm trying to go to bed and that kind of stuff. I mean, there's all kinds of stress, right? There's stress from work, stress from life, stress from just, I got to pick up my dry cleaning tomorrow, like even something simple like that, you know, and making sure you don't forget that. To me, it's almost like I always have this monologue running in my head and my internal thoughts and that kind of stuff. So you're saying that meditation is about not necessarily turning off that, but learning to, you know, ignore that, I guess, or be present in the rest of your life and your day-to-day activities and that kind of stuff, and not being too overwhelmed or overcome by whatever that monologue running in your head is related to whatever stress you're experiencing?
In a way, yeah, you could say that. I wouldn't say ignoring it is the best option.
Okay.
People that ignore, you know, their thoughts, what happens is it gets all bottled up, right? I'm sure you've heard this before. You know, people that keep to themselves, they don't talk about the problems or issues, and then what happens? One day they just explode because they ignored it. They ignored their thoughts and how they feel. You know, typically if your body is trying to communicate with you, you'll feel something, right? Usually when your mind is trying to communicate with you, you will think of something, right? You'll have thoughts about a particular matter. Those thoughts go all the way back to your programming, more or less. Yeah, to sum it up in a nutshell, your programming now, the way people are programmed is their history, right? Their past, how they were brought up, their belief system, their victories, their losses. There's so many different things that make up your programming. The people you hang out with, your friends, your family, and some of those get instilled in us, right? Like you hear, oh, you know, diabetes runs in my family, so that means I might get it too. No. What that means is, it doesn't mean that genetics is just winning over everything. What that means is, what probably runs in your family is the food patterns, right? That gets passed over to you. So if your mother or father, you know, ate a lot of rice or sugar, and then now guess what? You're eating a lot of sugar and rice or whatever, you know. Yeah, you might get diabetes. So a lot of that is all based going back to your program. So your programming determines your belief system.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Absolutely. Your belief system determines your emotions, right? Your emotions determine how you feel. So by the time you go to sleep at night, the real question is, who's in control? Is it your thoughts or is it you, right? If you're just being mindful, then it's kind of like you hear the self-talk going on in your head, and you're like, okay, you know I have to do this tomorrow. I know I have to do that tomorrow. Let me set my alarm. Let me do this. Then I got to go get a haircut. Then I got to worry about today and only today. And this isn't something that you're going to learn overnight, but if you're looking for different ways to de-stress before you go to bed, because you have all these thoughts running a mile a minute, you need to, there's certain things, certain actions you could take to help you relax.
Sure.
You know?
So meditation then isn't just about, you know, peace and that kind of stuff, which is kind of how it's commonly characterized. That's part of it, but it's more about, honestly, strength and strengthening your mind and acceptance of yourself and your circumstances and your stressors and managing them by accepting them, almost in that sense, I guess.
In a way, yes. I wouldn't say accepting them. I would say more so, you know, you definitely want to be honest with yourself. In today's world, a lot of people aren't honest with themselves.
Totally true.
So they put everything on the back burner, or you know, it's
understanding.
Right. You know, like the only like way to move forward is if you make peace with the past.
Sure.
And the only way you're going to do that is if you're honest with yourself. So being honest with yourself is the first step to awareness, realizing that, okay, something in the past caused me a lot of trauma and it's affecting the way I think or the way I look at the world or the way I look at people. You know, it's becoming more self-aware, and the more self-aware you are, the more change you can make.
Yeah.
So bringing that back to, you know, meditation, I don't know if you know this, but you don't need to be sitting down Indian style or legs crossed in a meditative pose. You don't need to be completely still for that. You could actually do other things that force you, not so much force you, that engage your mind to be in that meditative state. For example, I have a motorcycle, right? Now, most people think you go on a motorcycle and you got the brake, and then you got the throttle, right?
Right.
Simple as that. No, it's not so simple, right? Because it takes longer for a motorcycle to slow down. So you do have the throttle, and you do have the brake right here. So you have two things for one hand, and the left hand, you have your clutch, right? You have your clutch right here, and your left foot, you have your gear shifter. In your right foot, you have your rear brake. So you got all four limbs doing something completely different the entire time while you're riding a bike. Not to mention, you're looking at oncoming traffic, you're looking at traffic going forward.
I see your point.
And then you have stop signs, and then you have to look at, okay, if this car stops suddenly in front of me, where's my escape lane? There's always got to be an escape lane, all right? So you got to go to the left, you got to go to the right. So because of that high, intense situation, don't get me wrong, riding a motorcycle is dangerous no matter how safe you are, but I'm completely aware of everything around me, because if I'm not, one slip up, and who knows what will happen.
Right.
So I don't need to be sitting down or completely still to be in a meditative state. Or, I'm moving, I'm fully aware of the situation because the situation causes me to be aware. But for that minute or 5 minutes or however long my ride is on the bike, guess what? I am not thinking about anything else. I'm not thinking about my agenda for the rest of the day. I am just thinking about this ride, 5 feet in front of me, nothing more.
So it's about essentially not being on autopilot and allowing that inner monologue to kind of be guiding whatever you're doing, essentially.
Absolutely.
So what would you say, because I have, over the years been skeptical about some of this kind of stuff, but I've learned over the past year or so that, hey, there's actually something to this, mind over matter, literally in this case, right? What would you say to people who are kind of skeptical or like, I don't know about this meditation kind of thing or that stuff in general, I'm not sure it really has benefits? What would you say to people who are kind of on the fence about that?
You know what? It's this is just a matter of trying something new. A lot of people think they have the answers, they know better, or this, and that. And you know what? If it's working for you, great. But other people out there that don't have the answers, that need guidance, I'll say try something new, because obviously what you've been doing isn't working. So you need to open yourself up to new areas of your life that's never been explored, meaning you need to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't want to get out of their comfort zone, therefore...
Sure. Or be honest with themselves, like you said earlier.
Right. So the hardest part of change is stepping outside your comfort zone.
Sure.
And, it's a little struggle at first, but, like you said, where do I begin? How do I start meditating? You know what? They have classes for that. They have yoga classes. They have meditative classes. They have, there's information all over. You just do a little bit of research. Check some stuff out, and then kind of add your little spin to it. Be open to learn new things and hear about new things. But that's the only way you're going to get different results is if you try different things. You can't get different results with the same old thinking.
Definition of insanity.
There you go.
Doing the same thing, expecting a different result.
That's it.
It's interesting too, because I think a lot of the times when we talk about being healthy, or like in the millions of conversations you and I have had about this, a lot of times people in general or come to me and ask questions, or you to ask questions, it's what do I eat? What exercise do I do, right? It's all this physical kind of stuff, and we have a tendency to neglect the importance of, the mental aspect of things, and how much, believing in yourself, being honest with yourself, stepping out of your comfort zone, how much of an impact that actually has on personal growth, whether it's physically or mentally in that sense.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's, people, there's so much information out there that the how-tos they're out there. They're all out there. The answers for, you have a question about different types of diets, different exercises, a lot of the information's free, some of it you pay for. But all the information is out there. What it comes down to is that individual person. Are they ready to make a change in their life that either could put them on a whole other path of their life, or do they want to keep going through the same routine over and over again, feeling miserable, having trouble sleeping at night? It's down to the person,
Cool. No, it totally makes sense. Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up here?
There's a lot of misconceptions about meditation. Being me, I'm a pretty active active lifestyle per se. You know, I do.
You don't look like it.
Well, you know, just got back from Bermuda,
Yeah,
so
there
I
you
might
go.
be a little heavier. But you know, I do a lot of Spartan races. I challenge myself physically, and you know, a lot of that stuff, you know, I'll put on my Instagram so people could see what I'm doing, and if they want a challenge or they want to try something new, they go for it. You know, but at the same time, I always challenge myself mentally, and emotionally, and spiritually. You know, I cover those aspects. You know, they're much deeper topics than just, you know, there's definitely a lot of gray areas with everything.
Sure.
But I think people are more guarded as far as how they feel.
That's totally true.
You know, on the outside, you know, cool as a cucumber, but on the inside, everyone's fighting their own battles. Yeah, there's a storm going on, and you know, it's just a matter of some people hide it better than others.
Sure.
So, you know, I'd say just give a meditation class or a yoga class a try, you know, and
What do you got
give
to
it
lose?
a shot. Yeah. Like, you just, there's everything to gain is that it's only going to make you a better person. So, you know, why wouldn't you want to become a better person? Why wouldn't you have a better life and better belief system just by trying something new? You know, like, don't be afraid.
Makes sense. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us. If you guys want to follow Frankie, you can follow him at DominusFit on Instagram. And thanks again for joining us for this episode of Behind the Counter. We'll see you next time.